What's up, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the Fight Day MMA Show with your host, Kayla Nero, and my main man, Kanan Saunier, who, again, this week is not the Pick'em King. Let's go, boys and girls. 2 weeks in a row. Let's get it. Hey, man, it came down to that one female fight again, man. We're going to have to start watching some female fighters, Kanan. You know?
Well, you see, I picked this fight just to have a difference maker in the card. And Julia, whatever her name is, she looked terrible.
She looked strong for the most part, but, man, Yana Kunitskaya, man, looking at her back muscles, man, she intimidated me, and I'm 170 pounds heavier than her, or some crap like that. Yeah, man, she looked good. Everybody who we picked for the most part looked good. Now we did have two losses. We had two losses that we picked, but the guys still looked good for the most part. Even though Patolo got caught in the first round, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Yeah, guys, so you heard the new intro song. I know it's different from the other intro song, and we're trying to incorporate new things into the podcast, like the intro song and the outro song, stuff like that. Well, we were trying to incorporate the intro song, and we thought it was a copyright-free beat, and it turned out that the YouTube copyright struck it, so we decided to go with a different song that we know for sure is copyright-free. Hopefully this one doesn't get copyright struck. It doesn't really matter right now because we're not really monetized anyway, but just in the future, just by any chance that we do get monetized, we want to kind of have that set and good to go. So if that changes again, we're sorry. We're just trying to get all the kinks and stuff ironed out now while we're still in the early stages of this whole channel. So yeah, guys, good fights this weekend. Big fights coming up in the next weekend, and we'll be bringing y'all that pre-fight breakdown here soon for the whole entire card, from the early prelims to main card. As we do for pay-per-views. Both of us, our favorite fighters, going to be fighting on that card in DC in the main event. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, so we're going to get down into the UFC Fight Night. I believe this is 175. Lewis versus Oleinik card. The main card breakdown for the post-fight. So yeah, we had in the first fight, Beneil Dariush versus Scott Holtzman. And my main man Ken is going to break this one down for y'all.
Man, this fight started out with great exchanges. We had predicted that Beneil Dariush was going to control this fight, and he did. They had great exchanges, each of them. A couple of eye pokes by Scott Holtzman that really stopped the fight and just halted everything. And Dariush looked pissed after the second one. After the second eye poke, Dariush was mad. And he ended up hitting him with a big knee in the first round. He put him in trouble, but he let him recover. And then to finish the round, hits him with a spinning back fist, which he connected with his forearm right on Holtzman's face. And it was crazy because Holtzman just dropped, and Dariush was just standing there like, it's over. He shook his hands. He wasn't even going to attack, and Herb Dean just stepped in the way and was like, yeah, we're done here. Dariush, he looked great, man. I want to see him fight a top 10 guy in his next fight. I think he looked great in this fight. I think he put a guy in Scott Holtzman. He put him out in the first round. He handled the fight. I think he did well enough. I think he deserves a top 10 finish. He's definitely going to move up in the rankings, I feel like, after this fight. Maybe a 12. I mean, Scott Holtzman wasn't a ranked guy, but maybe 12. I think he should fight a top 10 guy.
Yeah, Scott Holtzman wasn't a ranked guy, but he was definitely one of those guys right on the 16, 17, 15, like right outside the top 15 mark. He was a really promising prospect coming into this fight. But, man, Beneil Dariush in his past two fights looked like a killer, man. It seemed like the UFC kind of wanted to put him on that gatekeeper status, and he's showing them, like, hey, I'm not a gatekeeper. You know, he's freaking finished the last two guys. I believe he's fought in the first or second round. And that spinning back fist was crazy. I mean, and lucky for Dariush, he didn't break his arm. A lot of guys who throw that spinning back fist and land on the forearm, they'll break their forearm. But it looked like he kind of caught him across the chin in the perfect spot rather than catching him across the forehead. He catch him across the forehead, that's where he kind of run into trouble. Thanks, Paige Van Zant. That's how she broke her arm. But yeah, Dariush, man, he's dangerous everywhere. Like we said before the fight, black belt Muay Thai, black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He can kill you standing up or on the ground, you know. And Scott Holtzman sadly had to learn the hard way, and he got sat down in the first round, man. Like you said, Beneil Dariush definitely deserves a top 10 guy next in the lightweight division. I can see, I mean, I really don't know, besides like everybody in the top 5, top 6 is kind of tied up right now, you know. Maybe if Edson Barbosa decides to come back to lightweight in fight, I think he's in that 10 spot or that 8 spot maybe. I think that would be a good fight that I would like to see in the future. Kind of Barbosa's kind of in that stage where he's becoming that gatekeeper for the top 10. And so I could see that fight kind of going from here. So yeah, I mean, good fight for Beneil Dariush. Hopefully he gets a high-ranked opponent now and starts to move up in the rankings rather than having to keep fighting down. On to our next fight, we had a women's bantamweight fight between Yana Kunitskaya and Julia Stoliarenko. This is where we picked different. Like Kanan said, he kind of picked different just to where we wouldn't have the same exact picks for every single fight. And I give it to you, man. I'll let you slide this week.
This was the biggest toss-up on the card, man. It was really just, I mean, we didn't know full about both of these ladies. All the other fights we pretty much felt the same way, and this was the fight. It was just like, it's a toss-up, and I'd rather there be a winner than a tie because there's no fun in ties.
Right, and Julia really showed that she did have the prominence in the BJJ in this fight. As any time it actually went to the ground, Yana looked to be kind of in danger. Which was kind of confusing to me why Yana decided to stay in the clinch the entire fight. But I guess she just realized how much stronger she was than Julia. And literally, I think she had 13 minutes of clinch control time in a 15-minute fight.
Well, I think in that first round, Julia came out like fast, came out moving, and she got in that clinch position where she had 2 overhooks. And Yana realized that she could keep her here. Yana realized in that first round that this position she could stay in the whole fight and win the fight off this position, because Julia put herself in that position to start that fight. She came in, she got 2 overhooks, and was looking for a takedown the whole time she was in the clinch. She was trying to get a takedown, trying to jump up, pull guard, but it wasn't working. Yana was too strong, completely too strong. She dominated the fight, and Julia, it showed all Julia was trying to do was get it to the ground and try to do submission, because she could not get out of that clinch. That clinch was deadly, and Yana realized that in the first round and continued that for the rest of the fight.
Right, I just think she was extremely way stronger than Julia. Julia was a thick girl, definitely, but I don't think she has the strength to be in the 135-pound division. I think she needs to maybe consider changing her lifestyle a little bit and trying to get down to that 125. I think she'll be big and strong at 125. But Yana's a big 35er. She's buff, man. She's strong as hell. And like you said, she just controlled the clinch the entire fight. Like I said, 13 minutes of clinch control time. That's almost unheard of. That's Khabib numbers, like with the ground control. She grabbed her, put her up against the cage, and said, "You're not going anywhere," and just dirty boxed her the whole fight. That's normally something you see whenever someone's gonna be fighting someone who's gonna outstrike them. But Yana realized that I can outstrike her on the feet, or I can bring her in close, not take any damage, and just beat her up for 15 minutes. So that's what she did, and I mean, it worked out for her perfectly. So I can't knock the strategy. It was a very boring fight for the most part. The only times that I really got excited was and I got a little nervous, is when Julia got her to the ground, I think late in the second round, and almost had her in an armbar. And that freaked me out a little bit. But, I mean, besides that, I want to say, it was a really one-sided affair.
Well, the first round, I want to say the strike count was 65-1. And I was just like, man, like this is...
It's what it was in the third round, too. It was like 68-2 or something like that.
It was definitely a boring fight, and Yana did what she had to do to win. All props to her. She realized Julia wasn't strong enough to get out of them overhooks, and she couldn't get under her. She couldn't swim. She couldn't take her down. She couldn't get her back off the fence.
She didn't know how to pummel at all.
She did not. And she realized that quickly, and she went for that each consecutive round after that. And then after the second round and third round, every time she got on the ground, she stood right back up. She was like, I'm not going to be here. And that's all Julia was trying to do. She's trying to pull guard, trying to jump, literally looked like a monkey jumping on her. And I was just like it didn't look good. It didn't look great.
She didn't look like she deserved to be there.
Oh, no. I don't think so. With that,
and I mean, that's crazy coming from an Invicta, a former Invicta champion, man. Normally those Invicta girls I want to say Yana was one too as well, though. Normally those Invicta champions are very, maybe not always top heat, but definitely your top 15 type of female fighters, as their divisions aren't super deep. But anyways, so on to our next fight. We had a fight in the middleweight division between Maki Pitolo and Darren Stewart. This fight went a little bit different than we expected for sure.
It started out how we predicted it, and then it just went down.
Right. Maki looked really, really good, actually. The Hawaiian kid looked really good. He looked really thick in his legs, man. everyone was saying, like, why didn't this kid go down to 70? And then I looked at his tree trunk legs. I'm like, this kid can't make that cut with those legs. The dude was thick. He looked very, very, very strong. He looked good in the striking department. He did a very good job of working the one. Like he hit Darren Stewart with a 1-2, like straight down the pipe mid first round and rocked him. And I was like, here we go, you know. And then I think was it Patolo that shot the takedown?
Well, Stewart kind of got him in a clinch, and then Patolo went for the takedown, and he got the takedown.
Yeah, but he level changed straight into a guillotine, and
well, he kept his head tucked, and that was his downfall at that point. He kept his head tucked into the body that left the guillotine open. He didn't come back up at the head or had better head movement in that shot. Where in that shot he kept tucked in with his head, and it was all that Stewart had to do was wrap around and hook at the guillotine, which is exactly what he did.
Yeah. So yeah, man, not the way we wanted it to go. Not the way we expected it to go. But, I mean, Darren Stewart did the right thing. It was pretty even. I would say it was fairly even, if not evenly matched on the feet throughout the first round. Darren Stewart hit him with big shots.
I think Patolo looked great in the first round, man. He was landing great strikes, and he was making Stewart miss. In my opinion, he was winning that round.
I agree.
And then after that takedown, his head got tucked. I was looking for that fight to stay on the feet. Right. And I'm surprised he shot that shot.
It wasn't a masterclass by any means by Patolo, but he was winning the exchanges. I found Stewart hit him with a couple good shots too. Patolo was there to be hit. Yeah. But I don't understand. I guess he thought he was stronger. He looked like the stronger guy in there. I think Stewart really hit him with a good shot because Darren Stewart can bang, man. Darren Stewart can put people out. And I think Patolo got hit with a shot that he wasn't comfortable with, and he tried to get it out of the ground, and it just kind of bit him in the ass. You know, it happens. Got to keep that. I mean, you got to keep that head up. You know, can't keep that chin tucked down. Get yourself caught. Anyways, so yeah, that's the first fight that I got wrong. Second one that Cannon got that wrong that night, but we're gonna act like he didn't get the women's fight wrong this week, guys. We're gonna say it was even this week just because he picked. Because I'm sure we're gonna have many differing opinions on this card coming up.
Oh yeah. Well, not the two like final fights.
Who's in the co-main?
Sugar Sean
versus Cheeto. Yeah. Sugar Sean's. I gotta have to pick Sugar Sean. Anyways, on to the co-main event of the fight on the card we're covering. We're so excited about this card coming up, guys. We're already talking about it, but. So for the co-main event, we had Omari Akhmedov versus Chris Weidman. And, hey, man, good for Chris Weidman. Like I said, I wanted him to win in my heart, you know. But I felt that he was kind of towards the end of his career. But he showed that he still got a little bit of fight left in him. I don't necessarily see a title run out of Chris Weidman at this point in his career. He's 36 years old. He's won 2 out of his last 6 now. But the 4 losses he has, he's been knocked out. So that still worries me a little bit. Omari Akhmedov was the shorter guy, had like I think a 5-inch reach disadvantage or something like that. Something kind of, it was either 5 or 3 inches, but still. First round, I definitely gave to Weidman. Weidman controlled the grappling. Weidman was definitely the bigger guy in there. Second round, I found Omari did an amazing job with Weidman. He controlled the grappling. He outstruck him on the feet. And I was getting nervous there for a while. It looked like Weidman got rocked towards the end of the second round. I thought Omari might have kind of got in and got a late finish in the second round. But Weidman survived, and then Omari was gassed in the third round, man. He just looked like... That's not something we're used to seeing from those guys out of the Caucasus Mountains over there in Dagestan, you know. We're used to guys who go 15 minutes hard and don't slow down from bell to bell, you know. And that's not what happened in this fight at all. After the second round, Akhmedov looked exhausted, and Chris Weidman took advantage of it and just outwilled him to the win, you know?
Yeah, I agree. This fight was won on the ground. Weidman won the first and the third round. The second round, I give to Omari. Weidman came out, and he landed some good takedowns. He got him to the ground. He got his first couple of takedown attempts stuffed, which would look good for Omari, but Weidman kept coming. He kept coming, shooting takedown after takedown. And I don't say he landed 2 takedowns in the first round to seal that round for him. Omari came in the second round and came out as the aggressive striker, was throwing great punches, got a few takedowns of his own. to secure that round. So going to the third final round, whoever wins that round wins the fight. And Weidman lived up to the task. Weidman looked good in this fight. I fully think he looked good in this fight, better than he's looked in his last couple fights. But once again, it was shown to me Weidman has only lost to the top 5 guys. Weidman has lost to great guys, and my dad pointed this out after the fight. Like, we should have realized they want Weidman's career to continue. Like, he's a household name. They're gonna feed him somebody they think he can beat. And I realize this after the fight. That's probably true. Omari has never faced guys that Weidman's lost to. Weidman's losses, even though they've been knockouts, have been the top 5 guys. And
right. I don't think the UFC is necessarily gonna. I know they're gonna want to keep Weidman around, but they're not necessarily gonna feed him guys that's gonna help him win. They're gonna feed him guys that's gonna be a good matchup. If you look at BJ Penn, the UFC loves BJ Penn now, or they did before he started fighting bouncers at bars in Hawaii. But before that, you think BJ Penn's on the downfall of his career, and they feed him Ryan Hall, of all people. And they feed him the best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC. Like, here, go get your leg taken off, you know? So I don't think necessarily they're going to match him up for someone that he can beat. But I think it was a good matchup for Chris Weidman to come back down to 185, to get a wrestler, not have to worry about someone who's an explosive striker who has been his downfall, kind of getting another win in the win column. Now, Weidman probably steps up, fights a lower top 10 guy. He might... If he wouldn't have gone 3 rounds, I could say he can maybe step in for the Uriah Hall Yoel Romero fight. Since Yoel kind of fell out recently, I think Uriah Hall's at that 8 spot. That wouldn't be a bad fight for Weidman to take. It is against an explosive striker, but Uriah's not very good on the ground, so I think that's a fight Weidman might want to take in order to try and get himself back up to that top 5 contention.
So I read some stuff today. Actually, a fighter's coming back, and he wants to make his second bout with Weidman. Luke Rockhold.
Oh.
Apparently, Luke Rockhold said this past week that he wants to come back fighting. They asked him why. He said, because I feel like it. And he's looking to set up Rockhold Weidman 2 after that first fight, which was a title fight.
That'd be a good fight, too. I mean, so yeah.
I'd be cool with that fight. But it wasn't more of like them feeding him to Weidman. It was more of a fight to keep Weidman relevant.
Yeah.
Like, if you give him somebody to keep him relevant. Where, like, after looking at it, I feel like I'm not the biggest Weidman fan. I don't know. There's just some of his antics, especially after the Anderson Silva fights. When Silva broke his leg and just stuff he did. I mean, I get it. You beat Silva the first time. The second time he broke his leg, and it's just like, you didn't really beat him. But I definitely overlooked it and let my dislike for Weidman kind of pick this fight. I mean, I thought Omari had a shot, but after watching this fight, Weidman's only lost to the great guys. He hasn't really lost to anybody that's like a scrub.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see if Rockhold and Weidman do fight at the end of the year. That's what Rockhold's looking towards. And like that's what he said in the interview I read.
Yeah. See, I almost picked Weidman whenever we were looking at this fight. But coming down from 205 after getting he got knocked out at 205, right?
Yeah, by Reyes.
Yeah, so he got knocked out by Dominic Reyes at 205, coming back down to 185. I just thought his chin was gone, man. I thought his confidence would be gone, and he proved me wrong, man. He proved that he still wants to be here. I figured he was getting towards that 36, 37-year-old range, so it's where most guys taper off unless you're Oleinik or Yoel Romero and fight to your 45 or whatever, or DC fighting to your 40-something. But normally those guys sort of taper off at that 36, 37 range, you know. Chin's gone, I thought. But, hey, he proved me wrong, man, and I'm happy for him. I don't have any disdain towards Chris Weidman at all. Not saying I'm a big fan of his, but I'm also not against him. So that really didn't have much to play with me. My thing was I just thought he was kind of on the end of his career. And but, yeah, he proved me wrong, so good for him. Anyways, so on to the main event. We had Derek Lewis versus Alexei Oleinik in the main event of the evening. And the fight went how I expected for the most part, except Derek Lewis actually came out and started fast this time, which is not Derek Lewis-esque. Derek Lewis usually comes out, kind of starts slow, saves up that energy, and then once you start getting tired in the third, 4th round, he tries to start hitting you with bombs. And Derek Lewis, usually comes out, kind of starts slow, saves up that energy, and then once you start getting tired in the 3rd, 4th round, he starts to start hitting you with bombs. And Derek Lewis, usually comes out, kind of starts slow, saves up that energy, and then once you start getting tired in the 3rd, 4th round, he tries to start hitting you with bombs. And I have to say, Derek Lewis is lucky that there's 5-minute rounds though, because at the end of the first round, he got himself in a freaking bind with Oleinik, with like 10 seconds left, and Oleinik was wrapping up I think it was an Americana, or it might have been a Kimura, and give Oleinik 20 more seconds, and Derek Lewis probably would have had to tap. So that's one thing I'll say that Derek needs to be careful of with jiu-jitsu guys is, hey, Derek, just stay off the ground with him and do what you do in the second round where you throw a flying knee at 265 pounds, knee the dude straight in the sternum, and then just blast him with the right hand and put him to sleep. Just do that instead.
I think coming into this fight, Derek Lewis looked the best coming in this fight that I've ever seen him come in UFC. He looks motivated. He looked great. I was impressed. I was shocked. When I saw him, I was like damn, he looks skinny. He looks small. He looks thinner. He looks bulky. Like he looks stronger.
Normally he cuts from 290. He said he only had to cut from 272 this time. So he only cut 7 pounds. And for a fat guy, guys, that's easy.
Which props to Derek Lewis. He's a big dude. When he came in, he dominated the fight on the feet in the first round. When they got to the ground, Alexi's jiu-jitsu prowess took over, man. Alexi was going chain submission after submission, getting in and out of positions. He owned the ground. Derek Lewis would stand up, would be able to get out, but he'd try to go right back on top of him, which I didn't get. Like, you want to be on the feet in this fight. You do not want to be on the ground with somebody who has 46 submissions to his credit.
Well, that's one thing that a lot of people underestimate Derek Lewis for. Derek Lewis's ability to be on top and ground and pound people is actually extremely good. He's so strong, and believe it or not, his transitions out of guard are really, really good. He does a good job of transitioning from your guard, trying to get you into butterfly guard, and then stepping over into mount. He does a really good job of that. He almost did it to Oleinik, which is crazy because Oleinik is one of the best jiu-jitsu players in the sport. And Derek's top game is very underrated, but he does leave himself open for submissions. He likes to put his hands on the ground. Likes to keep his hands on people's chest. He's just asking to get triangled or armbarred. But, he doesn't really have to worry about that at heavyweight too much because triangles and stuff are really hard for heavyweights to pull off.
Derek Lewis got a thick neck.
Right. I think the only person that's really ever pulled off triangles at heavyweight is Fabricio, and I think he has 2 or 3, and that's it. So, it's not an easy submission at heavyweight. Big legs, big necks. It's kind of hard to get a triangle choke. So I guess he can kind of get away with it. But
Alexi had him in a submission attempt. Well, the commentators were like, this might just a way to get Derek tired. But after the fight, Derek was like, I couldn't breathe. Like, part of me wanted to tap, but the other part of him was like, I'm not tapping. Like, I'm not going out like this. And he survived through it. He almost got caught at the end of the first round. The first round would have been 15 seconds longer. It probably would have been over. His arm would have been broken if he didn't tap. Well, coming to that second round, he came out. He was like, I'm into this fight. He threw that flying knee. Well, it more or less hit him in the chest, and then came over that right hand and then just started dropping bombs until Herb Dean stopped it. And, that's Derek Lewis fighting. But in the post-fight, Derek Lewis, again, to his credit, being motivated, he said he wants to lose 15, 20 pounds before he accepts his next fight, which I want to see that Derek Lewis. That Derek Lewis is going to be fast, and he's going to be and he's proven if he's doing all this, he's on a mission. He wants to prove something, and I'm excited to see it. I definitely want to see his ground game and wrestling improve because that's his biggest struggle point. He's good on the feet. He'll throw hands all day and he'll drop people. I want to say he broke the record for heavyweight knockouts in this fight.
I think he tied it.
You're tired or broke it?
Oh, he might have broke it.
And I'm excited if he loses those 15, 20 pounds because he looks motivated. He looks great. He looks in shape. I think this is the best version of Derek Lewis we've seen.
Could you imagine seeing like a 250-pound Derek Lewis versus a 248-pound Francis Ngannou again, and they actually fight this time instead of play touch button in the park?
That last fight was terrible.
I would just like to see them meet on the F in the UFC in the middle of the octagon, plant their feet, and just go.
And just one after the other?
Like Ricardo Lamas, Max Holloway, center of the octagon, except Ngannou and Derek Lewis, and see who's still standing.
But that's the thing, though. Those guys hit so hard, it wouldn't last that long. Like, if one of those dudes gets a clean shot, you probably going out on that first shot. If they stand and bang, like, you can't do that with them. You know they're going to drop somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
But I looked at Derek Lewis. I think he's going to fight Curtis Blades next.
That'd be a good fight. But the only problem is that we feed Derek Lewis needs to get that weight down then and really work on his wrestling defense for real. Like, for real.
Curtis Blades already announced that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to take him down. He's going to repeatedly take him down
and try to elbow him to death. I mean, that's what Curtis Blades does. Alistair Overeem got split the hell open with those elbows. And Blades is really good, man. Blades is kryptonite's just Ngannou, man. You can't eat the shot from Ngannou. He's literally undefeated, I think, besides his 2 losses to Ngannou. So Ngannou and some people is the paper champ, you know? Some people think that he deserves to be the champion of the division and stuff. And I mean, we'll have obviously the 2 guys fighting for it, in my opinion, are the champion. Are going to be the champions of the division, whoever wins.
Of all time.
Right, they're 2 of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But Ngannou can make that claim, man, if soon, you know. But let DC win the belt first and then retire, and then Ngannou, you can take the belt.
Well, a lot of people are talking like this might be the last fight for DC and Stipe. A lot of people are talking like Stipe is on the verge of retiring. Stipe is not going to be around for much longer. And when both of those guys retire, I think this weight class is going to be in good hands with Ngannou, Blades, Derek Lewis. Yeah,
it's definitely a lot better off than what it was 3 or 4 years ago, for sure. I don't think this will be the last fight for Stipe though. I mean, if he wins,
one of them.
If he wins, then yeah, he'll probably retire. If he doesn't win, I think he sticks around and tries to win the belt back.
He'll fight Ngannou too and try to win the belt back if he doesn't win.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah, I think he'll fight again to try and get the belt back, and then try and like extend his title defense record.
So my last thing with that, talking about retiring. So word is DC's retiring out this fight, but I think.
Okay, Javier Mendez.
I heard that, bro. I heard that, and I part of me fully agrees. Part of me agrees, and part of me doesn't. To the point where I think Daniel's done with the Jones thing, like done with the Jones rivalry. I think he's over it. I think he's just past it. I mean, he's 42, 43 years old. I think he's definitely ready to retire. But you can't tell me that fight would be amazing at heavyweight. I want to see it.
Okay.
I'm excited. If Jones comes back, which I don't think. I want to see Jones fight Ngannou still.
Yeah. So since we're talking about it, even though we're not supposed to talk about it right now, we'll talk about it anyway. I think that fight makes a lot of money. And I think if Uncle Dana whips out the checkbook and says, Daniel, what you want, then Daniel will definitely do it. But Daniel's had a good career, man. He's been doing this for so damn long. I want that payday for DC. I really do. But Daniel has been doing this for so long. Let him be the heavyweight GOAT. If he wins the belt, just let him ride off into the sunset. Heavyweight GOAT, greatest of all time at the heavyweight division. He avenged his only loss he ever had at heavyweight. Other than that, he's never really lost. He won the belt twice at heavyweight. He won the belt twice at light heavyweight. GOAT. Let him be GOAT status. Let him just leave and make that argument. But if John Jones comes up to heavyweight and DC beats John Jones at heavyweight, the rest of the world will have no choice but to admit that Daniel Cormier is the greatest fighter to ever touch the face of the planet. Ever. Not Anderson Silva, not GSP, not Khabib.
Well, Khabib hasn't lost.
Still, if he can beat John Jones at heavyweight, he would have avenged every single one of his losses, just like GSP did, at 2 weight classes against the census #1 fighter ever and the census #1 heavyweight ever. Or consensus, I should say. So he would have beat the #1 light heavyweight ever, the #1 heavyweight ever, in his last 2 fights and rode off into the sunset at 42, 43 years old. DC, if that's the legacy you want to leave, you can absolutely do that. But you have to understand, you may go out and beat Stipe. Be known as the heavyweight GOAT and potentially the GOAT. And then John beats you. Then you have no legacy.
Oh, you have a legacy.
You have a legacy.
He's one of the top. He's one of the top fighters of all time.
You still have a legacy, but you have no #1 something. That's the risk you got to be willing to take. Daniel, I know you don't watch the podcast, but I know you're friends with Mr. Jared. So, Mr. Jared, if you can just clip this and send this to him. Daniel, beat Stipe and retire. I want to see you happy. I think you can beat. I think you can beat John at heavyweight. I really do, and I love you, and I think that you would beat John at heavyweight. But God damn it, if you don't, I'm gonna cry for you, buddy. So just retire.
The other two fights.
Just retire. just ride off into the sunset. So me, Kanan, and everybody who loves you and everybody who's your fan can be happy for you. Just do that. Plus, you're too old to be fighting, man. It's time for you to become the president of the UFC when Dana retires, and hire me as a Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby. Me and Kanan, right here, buddy. I'll be your matchmaker.
I'll set those fights up. I'll be happy to set their fights up.
There we go. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for this podcast today. Again, we appreciate y'all tuning in to come and check out the content again. We really hope y'all are enjoying the videos. Again, please drop in the comments any ideas that you guys have for videos or anything like that. As for the fighter news, there's still some planning going on, so we'll see about that. Maybe not. It's all going to depend. Guy's really busy, so we'll see. So don't get your hopes up, but we're trying. We may start looking to try and get some of the smaller level guys on the show here soon. Just to talk kind of more of the local scene and more of the regional scene, and as well as talk some more fights, what's coming up in the UFC. But yeah, guys, again, thank y'all for tuning in. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And yeah, I'm still the Pick'em King. We will see after UFC 254 who's really, or is it 253? Or 252? Which one's coming up? 252?
I think it's 252.
Yeah, 252. God, I was 2 off. I think I read UFC 254 earlier. I think that Amanda Nunes card maybe or something like that. But anyway.
I think that's the Gaethje card.
It is. That's Khabib Gaethje card. That's why I read it earlier. But yeah. So yeah. Be on the lookout for the pre-fight for the UFC 252. We'll be coming to y'all with that Friday afternoon, more than likely. So yeah. Thanks again, guys. We love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Kanan, if you want to give a little sign out.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for rocking with us, and we hope you enjoy.
All right, boys. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.